Namaste. Let us take a very important topic today for discussion. Most of us are in practice of yoga, understanding yoga, tantra, spirituality, understanding about Shiva, Vishnu, Parvati, Devi. What is the purpose? What is the aim? The aim is to ensure that we do not come back. We have come as a traveler to this world. We are not even a traveler. Like a tuft on the reed, some dust is coming and sitting on a reed, on a grass. Like that, we have come. We cannot even be referred to as a traveler. We are not even a visitor. We have come here. During this short period of time, we wanted to experience the Lord and become Lord. During this short period of time, we wanted to become Brahman, we wanted to become Brahma, we wanted to become Shiva himself, we wanted to become the Supreme Self itself from nothing. First we are nothing, then we are becoming an ordinary self, then little more ego is attached, little later we become self, we wanted to become self-realized, then we do not want any more life, any more birth, any more death. Freedom from or liberation from the cycle of birth and death, freedom from the chain of samsara, the connectivity to the samsara. That is our intention. By doing this small process, we not only wash all our karmas, the three parts of karma, the prarabdha karma, the agamika karma, the sanchita karma, taking all the washing, eradicating all the karmas. By the course of time, we want liberation, but instead of giving liberation or by giving liberation, the divinity embraces us and gives us a space or converts us as himself. That is what the Acharya Adi Shankara teaches in Viveka Chudamani. He says, beyond caste, creed, family, lineage, that which is without name and form, beyond merit and demerit, that which is beyond space, time, and sense objects, you are that God himself. Meditate this within yourself. What a profound saying. Tattvamasi. The pinda is taken and during the process, the divinity embraces, it makes the pinda into anda. The individual self is modified into the Supreme Self. This process is called mukti. The attainment is called moksha. Let us be very clear on this. Moksha is just not an absence of pain or pleasure or suffering or release from the bondage of birth and death, but a paripurna Brahma Anubhava, the fulfillment of enjoying as Brahman is moksha. Oneness with Brahman, the Supreme Self, where the state of knowledge, bliss, all culminate into the divinity. Now let us come to the very crucial point. How to attain moksha, how to get mukti, and with a live example we will consider. In engineering, it is said that to describe an object completely or understand a single view is not sufficient. If functioning of a small mechanical item is there, its function will change according to the parts which are operating in it. If a single part is missing, the operation becomes inadequate. If a bolt, if a nut, if a washer, if a screw or any similar part or lever or a link, anything is missing, the functionality of the mechanical item or the unit is not full. It lacks fullness. Exactly in the same way, if you will have to reach mukti and attain moksha, the balance has to be exactly same. No account, no balance in the account. That means credit and debit, nothing should be there. Both sides it should be 0 and 0. In one occasion, Panchapandava, Arjuna lacked something. As a result, after the war, after so many years of wandering here and there, they go to Swarga. But Arjuna is not attaining moksha or mukti. He prays to Lord Shiva. Let us consider this as a very classical example, because the place of worship, the incident, all are available on earth as of today. So he seeks the guidance of Shiva, because Shiva happens to be the favorite deity for Arjuna. Shiva gives his Shivadhanusha also to Arjuna. As a result, Shiva graces him. You will attain mukti. Go to Bhuloka, go to Mrityaloka again. He comes to earth as Tinna, a hunter, an uneducated hunter. And one day when he was walking, he finds a stone. The stone happens to be a lingam. The lingam is covered with the dry leaves and wood pieces in the forest. He clears all the dust, the garbage surrounding the lingam, and he goes to nearby area. You could not see any vessel. He fills his mouth with water, comes back, makes a fountain from his mouth and springs the water on the lingam. Repeatedly he does and cleanses the lingam. And he hunts, brings a meat of some animal and offers to Shiva. This continuously goes on. Tinna every day enjoys this act of his devotion towards Lord Shiva. But on the other side, there is a Purohit who also comes and worships for the same Shivlinga. Whenever he comes, he sees meat being thrown here and there. Being a Brahmin, pained by having killed an animal and offered blood stains here and there, somehow he cleans the area and offers his prayer and goes. Next day, the same thing happens. And one day he prays to Lord Shiva, stating that my prayer is not accepted by you. I am with so much bhakti. I come from long distance and offer my prayers. I clean the area. Something is lacking in me. Can you guide me? Can you accept my prayer? Is the prayer of the Purohit, for which Lord Shiva says through a divine voice, there is a person by name Tinna. His bhakti towards me is much more superior to me than your bhakti, your offerings. Now the Purohit is in a fix. He doesn't want to enter into an argument with Lord Shiva. He hides himself behind the bush and watches who is this Tinna and what is happening. Tinna comes with meat, and when he is offering on that day, in one eye, some tears are coming out with blood. Taken by a shock, he tries to wipe, but is not able to wipe. He doesn't know what to do. He prays to Lord Shiva. If this eye has become blind, then he takes his weapon, removes one of his eyes, and keeps in place of the bleeding eye of Shivalinga. By this act, the blood oozing out stops. But on the other hand, the other eye of the Shivalinga starts bleeding. Looking at this, Tinna attempts to remove another eye from his face. But little thinks over, if I remove my eyes, I will become blind. Then how I will know where to place it? In order to avoid this precarious situation, Tinna keeps one of his foot on the Shivalinga itself and removes his eye, so that by touch he can sense the Shivalinga, and by this act he removes the second eye also and places onto the Shivalinga. Looking at this sacrifice, Shiva is so much glorified, so much happy about the act of Tinna, comes out in presence and gives both the eyes and names him as Kannappa. He becomes Kannappa Nayanar. Long ago, the movies came in Tamil, Kannada, Telugu, Vedan Kannappa, Bhakta Kannappa, Kalahasti Mahatyam. There is a temple, very small temple on a small hill from Tirupati, short distance. Near Kalahasti, the Tinna is none other than Arjuna himself. The next rebirth of Arjuna happens to be Kannappa. Just because he has offered his eyes in Telugu, Kannada and Tamil, Kannu means eyes. The person who has given his eyes is called Kannappa. So in order to say that the bhakti is supreme than everything, no yoga, no tyaga, nothing. Bhakti, the devotion, the meditation, the dhyana with bhakti leads one to mukti, to moksha, to attain nirvikalpa samadhi, the highest form of samadhi, the merging with the supreme being, the elevation to the state of Lord himself, the Brahman himself. This way, with bhakti, dhyana, mukti can be attained. There are several ways to choose mukti. One of the shortest way we have discussed is dhyana. Another shortest way is bhakti. For Tinna or later Kannappa, keeping the foot on the linga is not a blemish, not a dosha, not an offense. But his intention at that moment or his devotion at that moment was the eyes of Shivalinga has to be corrected, has to be operated. Bhakti leads him to mukti, that which leads to moksha. We will see in another video. Om Sadguru Babaji Namaha. Om Sadguru Babaji Namaha. Om Sadguru Babaji Namaha.